The Jallegra. For this one, prerequisites that you want to make sure that you have is a solid outside leg hang, as in you're comfortable holding it with just your legs, no hands. If that's something you're still working on, look back at my previous tutorials. Another thing is this one does take a significant amount of hamstring flexibility. That leg that's being pulled towards your face, a lot of hamstring on that one. Hip flexor, it's up to you. You don't have to have it. You might not hit a completely flat line, but you don't have to have it to get into the initial hold. So how far down that back leg drops, which is based on that hip flexor range of motion, your active flexibility, isn't as crucial as the hamstring flexibility. So very similar to this one would be a Jade Split. So a Jade Split is a really good place to start before you progress to this Jallegra. So if you're comfortable with the Jade Split, voila, next step, Jallegra. Okay, so for this one, I've seen some different holds, some on the inside of the leg, some on the outside of the leg. I'm going with an inside of the leg, okay? So this would be very similar to like if you were doing a standing split here, okay? So my hand is coming through, I'm cupping the heel with my palm and then extending up with the leg, okay? The more you can get that leg behind your shoulder, the flatter you're gonna be able to get your split, plus the more secure you're gonna be able to hold because you'll be able to get that leg in closer and squish the pole between your torso and your leg that much more. Okay, so we're going to go from an outside leg. There's multiple ways to get into this. This is just one of them. Just like all pole moves, there's more than one way to skin a cat, more than one way to get into it. I know a lot of people go from a broken doll. I tend to default to going out of this into a broken doll, but all different ways. So I'm going from an outside leg hang, and my transition to start dropping down into it is actually very similar to how I would go into a bird of paradise. I grab with my outside hand above my head and I let myself slide. So I would recommend taking it like a climb up to get into this one so that you have room to go down. If I invert from the ground, I end up very low, which is doable. It just limits what you can do coming out of it. Okay, so let's walk through. We're going to start from that inside leg. Okay, my outside hand is going to grab above my head, either thumb up or you can go in a cup, doesn't matter. Okay, and I'm going to slide down and push my head to the other side of the pole. Okay, in doing that, it brings me down enough that I can now reach with this hand and continue to slide to get that elbow, okay? Because that's kind of the signature part of the Jallegra. This inside leg is gonna circle. I'm gonna go palm to my heel. I'm gonna pull it as close to my face as I can into the split. This is where that hamstring flexibility is. And then once I'm there, that top leg, it can either come off bent or straight, doesn't matter. You're gonna extend out, okay? And then coming out of it, rehook that back leg to come out. See, and this is one of the things when you're super low, a little bit harder to get that bottom arm out. So, a couple things to think about. A, getting to position so you can get that elbow behind. Depending on your shoulder flexibility, that can be a little bit of an issue. So let yourself slide. If you try and stay at the same place, which is why I recommend taking it a climb up, which we'll do in a second, you have room to, as you slide, pull yourself to the other side of the pole as much as possible. If I'm trying to get that hand behind the pole and I have this far to go, very difficult. But instead, if I can pull over to here, it's going to be much easier for me to get that arm to hook that elbow. Okay, so A, positioning of the pole. Use your head. As I'm pulling with that bottom hand, I'm pushing back with my head and really think about engaging my upper back to swim through. Okay, so think about like lifting your chest. There's a lot of upper back engagement. Okay, so that's what the bottom hand is doing to help get me into position. It's up to you if at that point, if you're just holding on with this hand, if you're still holding with the other, either way. But bottom hand. Top hand, when that leg comes around, much like with the Jade, when you go to circle that leg, rondejam it, circle it around. Think of toes as close to the ground as you can as you circle, or you can bend it if you want. But versus going straight up and over to bring that leg from a leg hang to the front, if you go straight up and over, sometimes it kind of catches on the skin, like so many things in pole. When we want to stick, we slide. When we want to slide, we stick. This is one of those where you want to slide, it's going to end up sticking. But if you circle, you're going to be able to get it a little more up in there, much tighter, but you're going to get a better hold and be able to get a little bit flatter split. Okay, so once that leg circles around, palm towards your face, cup your heel, and then once you have a hold of it, think about swimming your chest through. Once again, I'm pulling that leg to my shoulder, and the more I think about doing this motion with my chest, it's going to push my leg back more behind my shoulder. If my leg is here on my arm, A, you're not going to feel as secure, B, you're not going to get into quite as tight of a split. One other little thing, we'll look at this once again when I'm in the air, is as I open into the split, this bottom arm, initially it starts down here. You'll see as I transition it ends up more here, and I'm really thinking of pulling, okay? So in a regular Jade Split, our chest is very much facing up towards the ceiling, okay? For the Jallegra, I start to turn away, okay? And that's because that bottom elbow. So think about, instead of your hips being here, your hips being more here. So your back is gonna be much more flat against the pole, okay? That second leg, when we release it, up to you if you take it off straight or bent. Oftentimes you'll find, much like with the Jade Split, you will actually get better extension in the beginning. If you bend, think toes to your butt, engage your glutes, engage to reach down with that leg versus taking it straight down. But totally personal preference. Sometimes for people, going from bent to straight makes it a little bit easier to figure out the balance, okay? So with all of those cues in mind, let's look at it with a little bit climb up again, okay? So I'm gonna take it one climb up, into my outside leg, here, okay? Outside hand is gonna grab, I'm gonna slide down, pulling my head to the other side, okay? Like I said, I'm gonna grab on here, but you don't have to. You can either have this hand here or just have that arm out, swim this arm through, use your head, let yourself slide till you get that elbow, okay? Now the top leg, rond de jambe, low to the ground, grab that heel, pull your knee to your shoulder, okay? Really pushing it to your shoulder, then other leg comes off, like I said, either straight or bent back, and really think of upper back. When you're ready to come out, circle that leg back. You can hook. You can take it to broken doll if you want to bring it out. Oh, hard to talk through that one. So, upper back, focus on that. You'll find you're much more secure. When you go into this move, if you're doing this, you're gonna feel like you're sliding. So as you pull the leg here and the elbow here, kind of the icing on the cake, really think about doing this and opening your chest. A, it will look nicer. B, you will feel more secure. And C, you're gonna get a better line. So A, it'll look nicer. Anyways, that is the Jallegra. Hopefully these tips have helped you. Go ahead and try it out. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. If you have any requests for future tutorials, I always love to hear those as well. So please leave those in the comments as well. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down at the bottom. Share it with your pole babies, your pole mamas, your pole daddas, papas, and pole wifeys. And of course, if you have not done so already, subscribe to my YouTube channel where you will find weekly tutorials on pole, as well as other non-pole and training shenanigans and combos. So thank you so much for watching.